All right. Let's do it, Kamar.
1792, Daryl Davis and Bill Ottman.
This podcast made no sense.
They're selling a book.
Well, no, he obviously only had a short period of time. Daryl Davis.
It was like a 2-hour podcast.
It was a 2-hour podcast. At one point, they were kind of right in the middle of a conversation. He said he had to go. I was like, okay, good, because I don't want to listen to him anymore anyways. I want to hear what
Mines has to say?
Mines has to say. And then he bounced too. I was like, oh, fuck. I thought we were going to get an hour of him by himself.
Oh, you thought it was a Mike Judge thing?
I don't know what that means.
Remember Mike Judge came in with Willie D?
Oh,
we thought we were going to get some Mike Judge, and then Mike Judge just bounced, but Willie D stayed and spoke for...
I just was hoping there's a conversation to be had with that Mines guy, for sure. For sure. About what the fuck he's doing, man. He's doing what we want to happen.
Yeah, but you won't join it. Mines.
Who cares what I'll do?
Well, you want to happen, but you're not going to participate in it. Like he said, he's got 5 million users.
But I don't participate in anything. Like I don't.
You want to support him, but you don't want to support him.
No, Kamar, what he's saying is like Simon doesn't want to play tennis. So if a guy builds the best tennis court in the world down the street, it doesn't matter to Simon. He's not interested in playing tennis. So because he doesn't give a shit, because Simon's not on social media.
Court.
But
that's what
Joe should be very interested in this. Joe should be like...
Well, there's a super awkward moment where like, well, yeah, you have an account with 180,000 followers and it's worth $300,000. And like, what? I've never posted on here in my life. It's like, well, I guess it's just a bug. So that's the problem with what he's doing. Decentralized, like it's so wild west.
I don't think that's the... I mean, that was an awkward moment for a lot of reasons. First of all, if you know you're going on and you think you're going to pull up Joe's page, maybe do some background first.
Yeah.
Make sure, like, that doesn't look great for you because if Joe's shit did get... I actually think that Joe did post that.
But why Joe was being Adam ruins everything about it is beyond me. Like, again, he should be all over this. This is...
Or should Jamie?
Huh?
Like,
Hold on,
I don't
now.
think Joe does his social media, do you think?
Hold on. I think Joe at this point...
I don't mean like that.
I'm sorry.
I think Joe's spoken to enough people that he recognizes almost definitively that these things always start off with good intentions. Or they don't start off with poor intentions. So I think his thing is like, as much as he believes this guy...
The alternative
Yeah.
is uber evil intentions. We know this. Like, we're not asking... Or these people aren't asking for an exodus from like Nirvana to somewhere else that's okay. It's like, get out of hell and I'll give you something maybe in between.
I mean, the problem though is, again, like I'll use the tennis court analogy again, but let's like change it to heroin. Like you have a huge drug problem in your city, and instead of trying to get people off drugs, you spend all your time trying to make a cleaner heroin that doesn't kill people. We don't need to be on social. Why do we need a better social media?
We don't, but young people do.
Why? They don't need
to have... Yeah, they do. If they're going to spend all their time there, then it needs to be a place of like equality where the people who own the platform aren't like purposefully... They know what they're doing, right? They know who their audience is. They are setting traps, and the things they're doing are super duplicitous. Is that the word?
Yeah.
And we know this is going on, but because we are gluttons for content, we're okay with it. At least in this case, we know that they're saying, look at my back end. Look at what we're doing to steal from you. So even if they are stealing, but they're willing to show you, that's still better than the guy who won't show you.
It's the best.
And listen, granted, I don't know anything about this place. It may be a bunch of hooey, but the conversation is interesting. And it felt to me like Joe had no interest in having it.
I think we forget that Joe makes a great deal of fucking... I think Joe... Listen, Joe's old. Joe doesn't recognize that no matter where he pivots to, there will be a ton of money. But I believe that Joe is... He makes a lot of money off his Instagram. He probably makes a great deal of money off his Twitter. There's probably a Facebook page that they have. I mean, I don't know. I've just assumed that his social media presence makes a lot of money, and it wouldn't be within his best interest to... Like, imagine if Joe was the thing that brought Instagram down. Like, that's a pretty big Not that that's going to happen.
by going somewhere else. And I'm not saying you can't be on Instagram, but go and see if you can look, Joe's support behind this would be good. And if he's a guy who's like, look, we know Joe's interested in this. We know he probably thinks it's a problem because he keeps having people on to tell us, to be the Paul Revere. So,
yeah, I guess I just look at it like Joe, Joe spends his time on social media in a very odd way. He does it either pushing Traeger grills or posting weird, on the cusp memes. That's really what he does on social media. So, I don't see what he's going to do on Minds other than back it.
His support
That's what I'm saying.
is everything.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't care what Joe's fucking social media suck. Nobody is on. No, I'm just saying if I was a person who followed Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
every now and again he'll post something interesting. Like this morning, he posted something interesting. I don't
That
remember
chimp
what it was.
murdering a seagull.
Oh yeah, right, perfect. You know what I mean? Great. But most of the time it's just talking about one of his tours or a bow and arrow or what, you know what I mean? It's not that That's not why people are listening to Joe Rogan. They're
Simon.
listening to Joe Rogan for cutting edge information. That's not what you're getting from his social media.
That's fine, but I still go back to it that I think Joe would rather people didn't use social media than pushed a better social media. Maybe that's it. Just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, and I would just respectfully disagree. I think
Fair
Joe
enough.
wants to use social media, and not all social media, whatever this is, it's not all bad. Just it's become something horrible, and it needs to be. There have to be rules in place of some sort. Rules for the people using the platforms, but mostly rules for the people who run the platforms. There are no such rules. This provides a place where at least, like I said, there's a bit of accountability. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but that sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah, I agree. But we also, again, somewhere down the line, this guy's going to want money corrupts all.
And then you see Mr. Beast, Matt. So,
But again, his story's not done. We don't know yet.
okay, sure, yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean,
I
both
agree.
of you
Listen,
guys would think.
I agree with
I
you.
think you would
Yeah.
say that Mr. Beast is not going to be corrupted.
It'll be disappointing if he does.
In my jadedness, I'm for sure think he will be. But
No, listen, Simon, I always reserve 5%. 95% of me is this kid, Mr. Beast, will just end up doing nothing but good for the world, but you never know. But
anyways, point is, it can be done, and there's nothing to say that you can't make money and be righteous. Might mean that you're not going to make $15 billion or whatever, but you can still make money. You can still make money. You
But
just
someone
aren't
will
going
always have
to
more
be
money.
able to attract some of these giant money guys because they want to see a return that you're not going to be able to offer. But
it's not just that, though. It's that these guys like YouTube, Facebook, these guys, their goal is to eat up the competition. They're not just out there oh, we don't care if you have a small slice. They're no, you're missing the point. We want the whole fucking pie, all of it. So it's not just that Minds can just be well, we just want to, this little slice of the market and we're fine with this. It's that they have to, I don't know. I agree with you. I think
no, I agree with you. I don't even know if Minds is right. But just saying, oh, well, we can't do this. These conversations have to happen and people have to start doing things like this. Otherwise, we're going to end up with 3 giant corporations like it is now who decide what we see.
But doesn't it, just hear me out. Has it not always been that way?
Yes. Yeah.
For the last 100 years, just sort of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Except now
It's more transparent
with
to
the-
us.
well, and with how much information is able to get out, if it was just television and that was corrupt, but there was only so much information that came, and we're on
But here's the weird thing: is Kamar,
100-fold.
Kamar
at
hasn't
this
said
point.
10 words this whole fucking. My whole thing, Simon, is you just hit the nail on the head. Though we now know more than ever. There's so many internet sleuths out there. There's so many YouTube pages dedicated to uncovering corruption or scams or grifters or whatever the fuck. Like, we know all the bad shit these companies are doing, despite how hard they try to hide it. And we still use their products.
Yeah.
So I don't
that's
even know.
Mostly because there's no alternative.
No, and half the people think it's good what they're doing. What rang out to me is I just watched 1984 on Tuesday, and it's like,
You watched it.
What?
yeah, it's a movie. and a book.
Interesting. Oh, I know it's a book. It's fucking
And it was written in 1930.
yeah.
And people can say hyperbole or whatever, but how spot on it is, like in the time period, whether it was 1984 or now we're in 2022, that's minutes apart
Yep.
to what's happening. But like, his job is to rewrite newspaper articles,
Yeah.
and he's like, I've been told, we all agree this is going to make the world a better place. People don't need to know that information or don't need the chocolates coming. And then they have these sessions where they all get together and just hate on the perceived enemy that they're told them. And that it's like an hour-long session where they just, get mad at you. And then they go back to your society of just trying to curate society. And at one point, a guy's up, goes, have you seen the 10th edition of the dictionary? It's this big. The 11th is coming out soon, and it's this big, and his fingers are smaller. Like, and all this like eliminating stories, and is all there. There's a thirst for it, because if we do this, it's going to make life better. But it's just life is getting worse and worse and worse. And instead of having the Big Brother on the wall, it's actually in our pockets. Like it's right there with you, the influence, and we know it's listening. Like it's happening. It's just it's the frog in the pot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, what Orwell didn't fucking predict too was that, listen, right now on this earth, there are people living in like $100 million mansions that are like, built to the top specs of today. And then there are people living on remote islands in like loincloths, still hunt. You can choose to live however you want. Like, all the information is out there. So you can, like, if you want, you can go and find out pretty much anything right now if you dig deep enough and if you know how to use the internet.
But information is being censored.
It is, but what I'm saying is, as much as it's being censored on a mainstream level, and I'm not denying that it is, you can still go and find, like, Kamar, think about any sort of conspiracy that you've looked into in the last, there's a fucking page for it. It doesn't matter. And again, you can see, like, you can say, oh, well, it's just a fucking conspiracy page, but
What?
Their main focus was they wrote a book against the effects of censorship and why, and that was sort of the argument for Minds. And Daryl Davis, obviously, he's an open-minded person, saying how dangerous censorship is, and that's where I sort of drew the parallel. And it's happening, and some people are for it, and everyone should just be against it.
No, I agree with that
The
wholeheartedly.
information, the whole idea is like the idea is presented, and then you have a better idea, and that's because if you censor ideas, that people then aren't seen by different points of view, and so they're just more emboldened in what they think without any pushback. You know what I mean? And people who are censored become more radicalized, and we've done this before. We've had this conversation, the ACLU guy, and that's the thing. And that's what George Orwell was talking about. Like, censorship happens very slowly, and then it gets to the point where the children don't even know what it was before this time, and they start ratting you out because they don't even think about, oh, we've made this change. Like, we used to be freer, and in 1984, the kids are ratting out the parents.
you do know that Orwell ratted someone out to the state, right?
Hey, he killed people. Like, he fought in the Spanish Revolution. Like, it's just, what did he know at that time to write that book about 1984, and it'd be eerily similar, if not, was not exactly like that. Like,
I imagine that he looked back at the past and saw that it played out exactly the same way and was like, oh, that's interesting. You know what I mean?
and Animal Farm is a great book, but that's more of a taking from historical things. This is a total Notre Dame's prediction thing.
Nostradamus. So you just went down an Orwell hole this week? Is that what happened?
Nah,
Because Animal Farm is a quick read. You can bang Animal Farm out.
some of them mention it. No, I just watched the movie. It's John Hurt's in it.
Is it an old movie?
Yeah, it's an old movie.
Both of them are, yeah. But Animal Farm, Simon, you can read, you can buy Animal Farm on Audible.
It's
for like-
so-
I've read both of those
okay, well, there you
books.
go.
It's sort of too old.
I
because
think
the
it was funny that he was telling us the whole story.
of 1984,
Yeah.
the technology. Well, I never knew it. I know the idea or whatever, but when you watch the movie, just the transformation he goes through,
You
and
should
you're
read
like,
the book.
then you wake up and realize it's so gradual. That's the whole point, and we should all be against censorship at this point. And these guys are just supporting that.
Well, 2 generations of kids to erase history, right? In school, that's what they say.
It wouldn't take long.
But both sides want to erase history.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Both
just,
sides are wrong.
That's how
I agree,
long.
yeah.
That's how long it takes. It doesn't take long to.
Or it can take a long time, as they were taking the example of Copernicus. Some guy
Copernicus?
said the world was heliocentric
Copernicus,
or whatever, and they're like, "No, you're out of here." And then it's got another 1,000 years, so
Yeah.
it finally came down.
That's the one thing about now is that happens so quickly. Perfect example, the Biden laptops.
Oh, we'll get there.
No, I know,
We'll
but
put that
just
up now.
it really it doesn't take long now because the ability to access information is so instantaneous.
But that's even bigger. That one, because it wasn't just
That's bigger than the world being round or flat,
no, sorry, the
or
was just
revolving around the Earth
that
or
was
the
just the
sun.
church trying to suppress one idea, and the Biden laptop wasn't just Facebook or Twitter wanted to suppress idea. It was 51 heads of Intel. Like the amount of people that said that's not true. They're really
I
bad
love
at
how
their
he
jobs.
thinks the Biden laptop is bigger than flat Earth.
Yeah, no,
Back in the day.
it's not flat Earth. It's he believed that everything revolved around
Yes,
the
it was
Earth.
the center of the universe.
And not
Earth was
that
the
the
center of
Earth
the
was
universe, yes.
revolving around. Everything was revolving around the sun.
My point, though, is
No, I know this is the weirdest conversation.
they killed people for that sort of stuff, like heresy.
No, and we're talking about life-changing, universe-changing conversations.
Yeah.
And you're saying the Biden laptop.
And then you're saying that the Biden laptop is bigger than that?
One organization decided to censor this information for whatever reason.
Well, there were very few organizations at the time.
But hold on, I
right?
was going to say, but they were
like
at the time they
church
were the
was
biggest.
the only thing.
and now the people who are supposed to know everything either lie to you
Kamar,
or do
I am
something.
not saying it's not a big deal. I can't compare the two of them. Like one is
No, trying to say it's bigger, but it's just more interesting the scope of the censorship and for what. Like I don't know why the church said the universe rolls on the earth. If we give that up, then we lose credibility. Yeah.
okay.
If this laptop they say doesn't exist, never existed.
I see the
Russian
comparison.
misinformation. I swear to you, I'll sign this document as the head of the CIA saying it doesn't exist. 2 years later, I mean, it exists.
Dude,
but-
I see the similarity. You're talking about a
Different
person
gravitas, for sure.
who was like, they were talking about things that were changing the talk of the universe.
Even then, Kamar, you're acting like the U.S. government. Like, think about the last 30 years. How many lies on that level? Again, I don't think anyone died from them lying about Hunter Biden's laptop. Think about weapons of...
Absolutely.
And do you
someone's
think like
not.
Hunter
fine,
Biden's laptop is
fine.
like a bigger
Hold
deal
on.
than 9/11?
Well, Biden
Weapons of
wouldn't
mass
have got
destruction?
elected.
Hold on.
That's just as big as a lie. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's way bigger lies. Yeah, 9/11. Like, dude,
Well,
there's...
no, he's because Kamar's saying it's because there are so many people involved, so many heads that had to agree to keep this covered up. So pick any other like giant thing that's happened. I just it doesn't even seem to equate to me.
I mean, it equates. Listen, hold on. I'm not going to say it doesn't equate. It's big, without a doubt. But I'm just saying, if you...
How about it's big and still people are like, yeah, that's not a story.
Well, Kamar, just hear me out. Like many other big lies from the government, something else will come along right away and brush it under the rug. Like,
Ideally.
Yeah, Kanye and Pete are fighting, man. That's a fucking huge deal.
I mean, there's a million things.
I'm so split about that.
Pete Davidson's hilarious, first of all.
Anyways.
We'll just see if they live happily ever after or what happens. It's a weird.
Well, I didn't know the whole backstory with Mac Miller and stuff.
I also think it's funny that Kanye's like thinks he's dumb enough. Like, come down to Sunday service, like where all my people are.
I don't think he fights though.
Of course not. He's like, I have a bunch of people that will do it for me, but like,
Oh, I don't think he would do that. I hope not.
Anyways, I'm not saying that the Hunter Biden thing isn't a big deal. I just find it weird that you're trying to compare the two of them.
But it's people being happy with the censorship. Like, it's one of those things where everyone's just like, oh, wait a second, this is a problem. I have another story for the post show. It's just,
Well, it's not like people had telescopes back then and were able to like look up in the sky and make a decision for themselves. That's all they knew.
but
But even then, come
there's
on.
people were told it and said, you're lying. Of course, they would be in denial.
Kamar, I'll say it again. For the last 20 years, there's been two completely separate news narratives running parallel that disagree with each other across the board. And there's 50% of Americans that believe one and 50% that believe the other. And I'd say half the time the other one, they're like kind of right. I don't know. I mean,
It's somewhere in the middle.
but it's been like this forever. There's never like, I don't know. I'd say we're at a boiling point now where maybe we're a little more fed up with it because it seems more like we're catching it more. The internet is quick now.
Daryl was talking about how, like, the idea of banning people is an assumption that people are not smart enough to look at, like when they said the example a couple weeks ago. Who was it? The lawyer or the DA in the OJ trial was saying, black people can't hear the N word.
Yeah.
It's just too sensitive, and so sort of like this idea of these Facebook or whatever corporations saying this information, people can't handle it, and they don't know shit more. They know more about algorithms and programming, but they don't know what people can experience or process. And they looked at it as the private company, because Joe asked the Minds guy, do you think the private company should be able to censor? And he's like, yeah, they should. They're a private company. But the idea of a common carrier should be looked at. And then you're not, because it's just the laws of like whether you can sue if something gets posted, like where that is. But it should also be free, right? Like Wi-Fi. That would help a lot, right?
Free Wi-Fi would be, very helpful.
Free Wi-Fi and subsidize those companies, and they don't censor.
I mean, I've said this multiple times. We, the taxpayers in Canada, we paid to have fiber optic line laid throughout the country, which we then let Rogers and Bell and all these fucking carriers
They lease
rape
it or
us.
something, yeah.
They bend us over and rape us on our fucking cell phone bills, and we paid for the infrastructure. It's insanity. For those that like, if you're a listener living outside of Canada, our bills are shocking.
And the other thing is, it's not like there's been there's that one time a guy killed a kid on mines, and there weren't a lot of situations of that where they talk about on Facebook, and those moderators have mental
PTSD
issues from the stuff they're sorting through. So obviously, if you let people go, it doesn't get out of control.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's suggesting that it should be a free-for-all, but the people who are, you can't just have Jane Schmained at Facebook deciding because she may, hate Joe Rogan or hate this guy or hate that. You have to make it some sort of fair,
The problem,
mostly unbiased
I agree. My only problem was he had that
jury system.
He had that idea of the jury system. Thank you. And as much as I like, at first I was like, that seems like a legit idea. I sat on it for a bit, and I don't know, man. Like, let me give you an example. Mountain Dew had this competition like a decade ago. It was an online competition. You choose the next flavor of Mountain Dew, and Hitler Didn't Do It was the number one, like by a landslide. My point is just that if you leave it to the online community, like let's say it's already out of control, so you have this jury system. Well, who gets on that jury? How many people are on that jury? Maybe someone's like, maybe that jury just ends up being randomly picked and all those random people end up loving racist memes. And they're like, nah, this is good. And it's something really hurt. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I like the idea of it, but I don't see how it's any different than what he's talking about, where someone's going to decide.
Humans are fallible.
Well, yeah. And again, he's saying a group of people are going to decide what you can or can't see.
Well, at least it's going to be put to some sort of trial. Whereas now it's literally just.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
if they tell you that they're actually looking at it case by case, they are fucking lying to you. And if they are looking at it by case, the people who are looking at it, who the fuck are they, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe you're right. Maybe it can't be done by a jury of peers because peers, for the most part, are humans, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Maybe when you do your hiring process, you run it kind of like a jury selection. I don't know. It's not my job, you know, but there's got to be a better way than they're doing it now, obviously.
I mean, again, they could do something like on Reddit where you have karma. So if
No, they have that on Minds, I think.
and that's what, but in the voting system.
So you can build up your profile to prove that you're a good person.
Well, a good jury member at least that
Yeah.
you have. Yeah, that you
Sounds
have.
like social credit.
Well, again, but what are you? You're the one that's saying you're for this. I mean, that's the thing. Like,
listen, I don't care about that shit. I'm just joking. That's such like it's just, you know, new world order. It's the.
But I mean, again, like, you know, to
The
be a
key phrase
judge
of the
now,
time.
it's somewhat a social credit. Like, you had to have done certain things, gone through certain things, and I don't know.
I found Daryl's voice last time went on insufferable. Like his message, everything was fine, but he had a frog in his throat or something. I thought it was much nicer to listen to this episode.
Well, that's pleasant.
One of the things they said that we've gone too far down the road is reading like terms of services. Like, you still don't know. We've talked about it, but you've never gone back and seen what you've agreed to with anything you've signed up
Nor
for.
if I signed up for something today, would I read the terms and services?
And that's sort of on us.
Well, there's just too many of them, man.
I mean, the real problem is, like, think about it, you know, I guess that this is different, but every product you buy, like, you know, if I buy an editing software, there's terms and services there, and I've already paid for the product. So what do I, like...
If you disagreed, are you going to return it?
Well, that's the thing. First of all, am I going to send the terms and services to my lawyer to have a paralegal
You had to buy
go...
the product before you agreed to the terms of service. Well, that's just evil.
Well, yeah, but Simon's right, too. Like, a lot of the time, you know...
You're just
We're here to
not.
take your
You're
wife.
not gonna.
Excuse me.
You're not
Hey,
gonna.
did
do
you
it.
read the terms of services? Happy editing.
I mean, I think it was... what's that game with the cards, Simon?
Poker.
No, where you...
Magic?
No, just give me a sec. Where it's like a party game where you say stupid shit from the card.
Humanity.
Thank you. Cards Against Humanity. I guess they jokingly slipped in that they own your soul into like a terms and services thing, and like 186,000 people clicked it. You know what I mean?
Sold their soul away. Wow.
It's a nice grab.
Yeah.
Again, probably not legally binding, but
He told that story about.
Well, it's like inviting a vampire in.
yeah, you have to invite
Once
them in.
you've done it, it's too late.
Yeah.
we've sold our souls. The red light cameras, I think it was Lockheed Martin or whatever,
Unreal.
got $1 for every red light. So they also made the
Yeah, they made it
the
a
light
shorter threshold.
Any way to make a buck, man. What would you do? What would you do?
Have you ever
So fucking crooked.
heard the story about this? It's crazy. I'll try to post it on the Reddit if I remember. There was a gentleman in New York City that figured out that the red light cameras were doing that, so he dismantled all of them, and then he ended up going through a litany of trouble with the police for like the next 2 years, where he was getting harassed. All sorts of wild shit was happening to him. It's a crazy fucking story.
He did that through a computer or like physically?
No, he went up and like was taking down red light cameras.
Only in America.
It does seem crazy though. Like I got a speeding ticket the other day from a camera.
That's not fair. You got to catch you. You got to catch you.
Right?
red-handed. I think so. I mean, wow, that was before. That was when it was free. You're free to make bad decisions and get caught or get away with them.
I don't know. It felt gross.
Police state. He was trying to push another. he was trying to push another phone.
He's asleep for the whole fucking
Yeah,
episode.
now he's awake.
He was trying to push another phone, but we're sort of stuck with this, right? I mean, we don't have to disclose what phones we have, but
have
could
an
you
iPhone.
imagine
Could I imagine what? Using some weird...
Android or Linux or
No, I'm so useless.
yeah.
Like, unless they made it like a real
I'm useless
phone
too,
for
Simon.
dummies, you know? But then they were talking about like turning things off to an what?
No,
What?
not gonna happen.
I will say this. I'm at the point in my life where I have a phone for like 5 years, unless something catastrophic happens to it. So I'd be super down, like we've discussed, for a more expensive, potentially conflict-free phone from Apple. If they were to
It's
offer
still
that.
from Apple.
Yeah, I still want
Just the control
yes.
and
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Like if they said, okay, from now on, there's a $500 fair play
Maybe a lot more than
surcharge.
that, but yeah, sure.
I mean, we all know that Apple...
You think it would be more than that
$500. This is
per
$1,000.
No,
per person?
he's saying the surcharge
So
on
it's
top
now-
of the phone.
So it's an extra $500 that they just get to do whatever they want with, but not. They have to put it back into.
I'm with Kamar, though. It'd be like an extra 1,000.
I feel that way. I don't know. One thing they
But
said,
500 would be enough.
Five.
A fucking dollar would be enough. Like there are so many people who use these devices.
True, yeah.
It's like Bernie Sanders' whole thing on taxing the. It's only 0.00001%, but there are so many trades happening that would pay for everything.
Either way, we're not going to get that. It's never going to happen.
Daryl told an excruciating story about losing his phone,
Yep.
which I really thought hope would pay off more. But the story, Houston cleans the planes the best.
Yeah.
He found my phone, and he didn't help us there because I do really like. I've used it.
Find my phone.
Find my phone. It means a lot to me. It's
great for the earbuds.
Absent-minded.
If you have the
It
AirPods,
works with them as well.
with each individual pod and the docking station.
That makes sense because they said the one thing about Apple is proprietorship, like chargers, all that stuff. How easy the world would be if you've ever been at an Android party or something and all of a sudden no one has your charger.
That doesn't even happen anymore.
Well, I guess not, but it did. It has.
It feels like everyone at this point has a fucking drawer full of multiple like micro. You know what I mean? Everyone.
I think the biggest problem this guy has is that there's just too many apps. Like, I don't want another app in my life, and I have apps that I should just get rid of anyways. But to another one, he's got his hope is appealing to someone younger, like a younger demographic that comes along and adopts Minds. I'm not. I have Minds. I don't use it.
I think these guys are counting on people are only willing to be pushed so far. And eventually everybody's going to be like, what the fuck is going on with these giant platforms that are becoming more and more and more militant in their decision making, and they'll flock to somewhere else.
What if they do a 180 though? What if
Minds?
they mature and come to we got to stop censoring?
Well,
This
that would be great.
Is not helping. But then the Minds gets
Do you
left in the
think they
dust.
can do that?
I think the battle's lost. What's going to happen is going to happen. Take your free money and chill. There's no point to try to turn it around.
Who are you talking to?
Mines.
Mines. They're free money.
Well, we're all going to be getting free money soon.
What does that mean?
They're passing the universal basic income in Canada. I mean, they tabled the legislation.
But what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Well, one of the biggest problems in life is money, right? If
That
money
is
was
the
a
number
worry,
one
would
problem.
any of these social media anything bother you?
But you think that they're going to give you enough money that you're not going to worry?
I think they're going to give you $2,000 a month.
Are you fucking nuts?
No,
You are fucked.
on top of whatever you make.
I know what you mean, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
No, it'll be 1,000 at the most.
We'll see. The legislation doesn't write actual dollars amounts. You're saying a living wage supplied to all Canadians.
Listen, if you go back 2 years in this podcast, you will hear me touting universal basic
Oh
income.
no, I've watched your journey.
If they do that now, our country will crumble.
Maybe.
Why would any 18-year-old do anything? for 5 years.
Because they want to be a doctor, or they want to be a nurse, or they want to do some sort of thing where you have to do so. They want to do
But do you
something.
have you looked at the numbers? Do you know that every industry like that has declining numbers across the board? No one wants to be a fucking doctor, a nurse, a lawyer. Everyone wants to be a YouTube star.
I think the thing threatened the most would be the service industry, because there's just jobs like
I disagree. The service industry would do the best. Everyone all of a sudden has disposable income.
but no one wants to serve anyone else because they want to dispose of their income.
No, because like you said, I think there's still go-getters out there. They just might not want to be doctors and lawyers.
Well, they should have fought against this a long time ago. It's coming. It's coming down the pike. I mean, it's in the UK. It's going to be here eventually.
The UK has this
The New
already?
Order, yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
I gotta say this,
What?
too.
Story like 6 months ago.
I gotta say this.
Is that
too.
true?
I'm gonna look it
They
up.
have
I'm
universal
gonna look
basic
it up.
income
I'm
in
gonna
the
look it
I
up.
believe
UK?
It's called
I don't believe
UK
it.
credit system or something.
What?
But like Matt said, I think it's like £757 every 2 weeks. $1,500.
Oh, I forgot.
What?
Kamara's going to come with a lot of information this week and not. Have you checked all of this info
I'm just referring a story that I
that you heard?
did. I presented to you months ago, so nothing's changed since.
Anywho, I don't know how we got here from.
Joe got him good because he was like, well, who researches a phone or whatever? And then Daryl Davies was like, well, do you research food? And Joe wanted to say no. I was like, well, actually, yeah, I do. I waste hours upon hours talking about food, so maybe that's a strong point. Like Daryl Davis is undefeated, I'm sure, in a discussion. Unless it's like getting yelled at by a woman he's cheated on with. Because he slays the puss with that voice. That silky, smooth voice.
I can't find the answer, nor do I care to look right now.
Let us know, UK listeners.
I will
Wait, I
definitely
did want
look
to
up
say
that information.
I did want to say really quickly though. I don't know if you saw it, but like Sagar did an interesting piece on daylight savings.
Whether it's a good thing to stop it.
Yeah, he believes strongly that it's not, and he has a lot of strong evidence to back it up. But speaking of the UK, I'm pretty sure Europe got rid of it ages ago, and they've been
Places
doing
that
fine.
don't do it, yeah.
But he was just mentioning, he was like, if you live on the western end of the Eastern time zone, in the winter, the sun comes up at like 9.
In the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, the number of school children that get hit by cars goes up like tenfold.
Less light.
Of course, because they're going to school in all like the pitch black,
We
pretty
have
much.
to push everything back up there.
It's interesting
Yeah,
debate.
it
I've
affects
never
everyone
thought about
differently.
it.
I think I don't want it, but I don't really care about the West Coast. So
Well, not the West. It was like people in like Michigan. If you're on the west end of the Eastern time zone, right?
The sun's not coming up until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
What?
I prefer the dark in the morning, but I'm not a kid. So.
In Michigan?
Think about it, Simon. If you're on the farthest end of the Eastern time zone, right? You know how the sun comes up.
Yeah.
You understand how that works?
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe if you're on the farthest east, whatever. Sun rises in the east.
East
Yeah.
and sets in the west.
Yeah, so if you're in the farthest like western section of the Eastern time zone, you get the sun the latest.
Yeah, I just didn't think it would be 9 o'clock in the morning. But
Well, that's
okay.
because we're used to daylight savings. Where
Yeah, that might be the sun right up, though.
Anyways,
sorry, back to mines and Daryl.
Sunrise
Davis.
might
My
be at 8
apologies.
a.m. The Bill Ottman wants Joe to talk to serial killers. Thought that'd be good. His suggestion was like to demonstrate that just because you platform someone doesn't mean you are that. As an extreme example, he thought that was a really good idea.
I disagree.
Want to
with
start
that.
booking shows?
okay. I don't remember that. Interesting idea.
How do you get a serial killer on? First of
No,
all?
it's a stupid fucking idea, man.
No, they're
Just to
convicted,
to
whatever.
prove,
First of all,
to make the point
That
that
was, he
you'll
thought- I think he thought
platform
that'd be great.
everybody.
I think that'd be great.
Joe
Joe
thought
has
that
already-
would be
no,
great.
Bill Ottman thought that'd be
Joe
great.
has already proved that he will platform pretty much anyone. He proved that this week. We'll get to that.
Yes, but not. Perception controls reality. So you got to change someone's perception before you change their reality. If you don't change their perception, you're not going to change reality, and that can be very unsettling to people. So that's why Daryl Davis has to take a long, drawn-out approach, and he's trustworthy. And I thought the best quote was from Mark Twain, I condense it though. Travel is fatal to prejudice. Like if you stay where you are, you have a worse chance of learning and understanding. And this was just another one of Joe's, repair his image.
One of my
Talking about
least
censorship.
one of my least open-minded friends has been nowhere, but he speaks like he knows about the world, like a great deal. You know what I mean?
That's an indictment on what do you really know if you've never seen anything.
Well, and that's it. I'm always like, you don't like. He talks about impoverished communities like an expert, and I'm like, you've never been to any of these places. You don't know. You know what I mean? It's very odd to hear someone wax poetic about something they have no. I mean, I guess that's what I do week in and week out here.
You learn from watching TV sometimes.
Simon's a perfect example.
If you can trust what you see.
I try not to make eye contact there. Yeah, rated boys.
Oh, that's it. Shit.
There's some diet talk, but
no, we don't need diet talk. Fuck that. I don't know. I give it a 3.
I give it 2.5. I think Simon might be right. This should have been Bill Ottman. Like
Everything that Daryl Davis said, we've already heard.
he's a wise sage.
That was a great podcast when he was on, but nothing has changed there. The interesting part of this conversation was the minds, and there was too much of like back, no, you talk, and then everybody trying to be polite. And
You know who I feel like Daryl Davis should be hooked up with as opposed to this guy? Because I also found this to be a weird, like, odd couple. I feel like he should be hooked up with the guy that gets people off of death row.
The Innocence Project.
Yeah.
Josh Dubin.
I feel like they'd be a good combo for some reason.
I
know
see
it's
why
weird,
he's
different
hooked up
lanes.
with this guy, because they're just looking for a place to exchange ideas, right?
Well, Minds is the only place you're going to find, people spouting hateful rhetoric that he could interact with. And they're banned on all the other platforms. Right?
I will say
he was running out of material. Is that
I will say that
Marks.
before we move on, that was the one area where I felt like Daryl Davis. Joe kind of asked him like, "Yeah, have you had any like good interactions online?" And Daryl was like, "Well, I mean,
I've had some interactions."
because
It's not all good, baby.
Because that was the thing is I was thinking in my head, I was like, listen, what Daryl Davis does is great, but it has to be done face to face, one-on-one. You have to meet the man, shake the hand. I don't think that sort of stuff can be done online. I say this as someone who plays video games. Like, if you think racism is dead in America, just hop onto a Call of Duty server and just I don't know.
I have an interesting thing about racism for the post show.
Is it about that school in the States there? No?
No, it's about the soft white underbelly.
No, okay. Anyways.
We'll get there.
Oh, that's fun.
What's the school in the States?
I'll tell you in the post show.
Oh, wow. Look at this teaser. This guy's...
Okay, I will.
No, that is great.
Fucking professional.
Listen, this is how you sell a fucking product, my man. Don't say anything now. You have to...
It's not a nice story.
Our lips are sealed.
All right, we are going to take a break. We're going to pay a bill, and we'll be right back.